Okay, so we'll start recording, and we'll start the conference call. So, thanks for everyone for logging in. We had a response after posting it the other day, and basically, it's hard times for the country. It's hard times for businesses, and there's particularly like kind of strength and conditioning coaches and PTs, especially with the gyms closing on Friday. So, I wanted to have this meeting today to kind of share some strategies, bounce ideas off each other, share a bit of positivity as well, because it is a tough time, and also give a bit of perspective as well, and share. The first section I'm actually going to say is have a fucking moan, because we're on Instagram, social media, we're all trying to be as positive as possible, posting our home workouts, posting workouts with just limited facilities or equipment, but it's challenged us all. So I'll kick off the moaning. Obviously, we do a lot of stuff online, but all consultancy's gone out the window. I've just had my contract with England Golf cancelled as well, so a big part of my kind of income has gone, and I think it's affected us all really. So I don't know whether anybody wants to come in and have a moan. I've just seen Ash Downing come on. He moans every day of the week, so he can have a moan for us. Just have a highlight of individual situations and what situations you're in at the moment.
Yeah, go on, I'll jump in then, Dan. So pretty similar to yourself, big chunk of my income's kind of gone now just through one, fights getting cancelled. So obviously if fighters don't fight, they don't get paid, and therefore we don't get paid. And even in terms of monthly income that had people paying on monthly direct debits, that's kind of dwindled down now to sort of like 400 a month, just because people are losing their jobs, can't afford to pay, blah. So yeah, as I said, testing times, but I think it's real on the flip side of that, of having a moan, it's kind of bringing everyone in the industry a lot closer together now. And what I've seen from the first kind of few days, weekend of gyms closing, is the industry's really sort of come together and helping each other out, which is always a big positive.
Brilliant. Tommy, do you want to come in on this?
Sorry, my microphone was muted. Yeah, similar situation to Reece really. So all my contact with athletes is now gone. So still contracted for the time being, but obviously having to do the whole remote thing, which everyone is at the moment. And then uncertain times, but I think like we just said, it's hard to feel sorry for yourself, innit? Like all of our lads, like the boxers, they've had fights cancelled and stuff like that. Things were going well for other people as well, and then it seems like the trains come to a halt for the time being. But hard to feel sorry for yourself, innit? Because everyone's got different stuff going on.
100%. Yeah, I think that we're talking about athletes, but that's a lovely dog, by the way. Yeah, everyone's kind of chatting about the athletes and ourselves and everything, but as well we've got a bit of perspective in there. People are being ill from this virus. People are dying from it as well. And I think what we're talking about is kind of, and what a lot of concerns are for people that are freelancing and self-employed, is finances. And I think that money comes and goes, and times are our times pass as well. And I think that we just need to kind of focus on what we can control, and focus that we're being healthy and safe at the same time. A good thing that kind of I've gone through in the past as being an intern, a lot of the stuff that I've done has been voluntary. I've went through a series of about 4 or 5 years hardly earning anything, and I just had to kind of whittle down basically what is the minimum that I could earn to basically survive, pay rent, pay for food and everything like that. And that kind of allowed me to have them priorities. So I think a lot of like kind of S&C coaches and PTs now that have probably gone, how much money have I kind of lost through this? Think about what is the actual minimum that you need to survive. Try and go and cut back on a few things, and these, few months, will pass, and then there'll be a large influx of people coming back into training. You can see that as a little bit of an opportunity. So talking about opportunities, got to think about what you can control as well. So a lot of people doing home workouts, a lot of people doing YouTube videos, everything like that. What are the new things that we've done this week that is a little bit different to what you normally do? I'm going to bring Dan Lawrence into this because I've just seen him pop up, and I've seen that he's done some pretty good like kind of home workout tips as well.
How you doing, chaps? I'm trying to get used to this technology. I don't know if anyone can see me or hear me there.
Yeah, we can see you and hear you.
Cool. Well, Danny, that's a great beard, buddy. Right. Yeah, what's been going on? Look, it's a shit time. It's a shit time for everyone. I think we can all appreciate that. But I'm not, if anyone does know me, I'm not one to kind of rest on my laurels and feel sorry for myself. We have to adapt. I think everyone's saying adapt and overcome, control the controllables, is what I keep hearing. And yeah, that's all well and good. But now we obviously need a strategy in place in terms of how we can, one, make money, let's be fair, put food on the table, as Danny just alluded to there, of identifying what is our bare minimum that we need to earn to survive and live and pay our mortgages if we do have them, and obviously support our families. And then obviously how can we add value to other individuals as well? There's a lot going on social media these days in terms of, I think I don't know who can hear this call, but I'll just tell it how it is. I think I've tried to, say, oh, it's all really good. Everyone putting these videos up. Yeah, it is good, but there's also a lot of shit out there, There's a lot of jumping around in people's living rooms. So I think now we have the opportunity to separate ourselves and differentiate ourselves and actually give good content that's actually going to positively influence individuals. The concern I feel I've got with an online business now is I almost feel like I don't want to shout about it because of people thinking we're trying to make money at this time. So I've literally kept my mouth shut and just given free content and value. Though there's going to be a point when I do have to shout about it. But the concern then is, okay, if someone's doing jumping jacks in their living room for a Tabata style 20 on 10 off, how do we differentiate that from actual bespoke coaching and programming? And that might be the concern. But I think once we get through the initial 4-week period, we're going to almost, see through the jungle, see through the storm, if you like, and then hopefully we're going to come out shining, providing we are sort of proactive instead of reactive to the overall situation and keep putting good things out there. I hope that answered your question. I kind of caught the end of the question there, but
no worries, Dan. I think that is a very good point about we're putting free content out there, but at the same time we need to pay the bills. I've just literally had a question from somebody. Is, do I do a free workout plan? Because obviously it's a hard time for everybody, and people wanting to save money and don't want to be seeming like taking advantage of the situation. But at the same time, we need to earn money. So, like you said, it's hard to kind of to manage that. And I was just literally about to put out like kind of one-to-one training service out there, and now I don't feel like posting it whatsoever. But I think once the panic is out of the way, people do have access to like funds. People realise that they're not going to go 100% broke. Athletes will want to train, getting ready to get back into the season. So I think if you, in this first initial stage, focus on your free content, focus on kind of growing your audience. A lot of people wanting at home, got more time to be on the computers, on their phones, going across social media. This is a time to grow your free content and also focus on new projects. So like some of the new stuff that I've done this week, I started a Red Zone Running YouTube channel, something that I've been wanting to do for ages, but it's about like kind of partners. Obviously got to manage everything with business, everything with coaching athletes. That all comes first. all these little extra stuff that have been sitting in the background for quite a while. This might be time to actually re-energise and put in that passion into a new project. I'm going to bring in Reese here because I've seen that he's done a 4-week home workout. What kind of stuff have you put in place for that, Reese?
Cool, yeah. So, as you said, like just touching back on what you're saying about sort of like weighing up whether for it to be free, whether to charge. I think like one of the most important things in terms of your brand at this moment in time is to have a little bit of compassion. Like there's so many people trying to sell stuff now and just don't want it to come across like the wrong way. So I think thinking longer term, it's a great opportunity to give some stuff out for free and build your following and build your value to people that longer term then may become paying customers. Maybe not try and sell straight away, but just offer value, offer support to people when they need it at the minute. But in terms of the 4-week program I did, I basically did it for all my athletes, just 3 conditioning sessions and 2 strength sessions. So in terms of the strength sessions, it's obviously with limited equipment. We're just manipulating things like sets and reps and tempo of the exercises, working sort of longer eccentrics and stuff like that, just to kind of overload them in that way a little bit more. And then in terms of their conditioning side, we've got 3 different ones. So a little bit of like alactic stuff. So real high intensity max effort for sort of 10 seconds, and then going into like an active recovery shadow boxing and just manipulating the interval times and rep times as we progress through the weeks.
Yeah, 100%. It sounds like you've really adapted well. I think something that we've got to remember is that athletes have evolved, didn't really have access to these amazing facilities that we do today. So if we have to go a little bit old school, we can do. And a good tip that we're going to be putting out on Red Zone Running is basically calculate it, like adapting your runs to the outside is just basically changing, doing a formula from kilometers an hour to meters per second, times that meters per second by how much you're running. Then that calculates your kind of that mean speed for that set. And it's very, very easy ways how you can adapt your training, doing body weight stuff, doing like eccentric tempo work, maybe doing some more plyometrics works as well. And I think like these are things that you can start incorporating into your home workouts. I'm going to bring Daryl Richards in here because it's just popped up on my screen. How are things with you, Daryl? What's the situation? What are things that you're doing to adapt to this situation?
Well, look, I think we're all sort of adjusting as we can. I mean, look, I'm not a massive fan of online training because of I'm huge into the assessment process, and obviously we lose the ability to assess properly when we don't get that one-on-one contact. However, you know, I've had to do, you know, like most trainers are, although I'm not really advertising it because I think we're being inundated with quarantine workouts here, there, and everywhere, and it's kind of driving me nuts. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I mean, look, doing my best to film some stuff at home. You know, writing home programs. That's it. I mean, look, I'm not working with as many athletes anymore like you guys are. So, I mean, I know that having spoken with Shane recently that their training is completely shut down for a couple of weeks. But, you know, listen, I think this is a time for every trainer and coach to, you know, like I think you've already touched on it, about just, you know, all those business plans and ideas that we've all put to the wayside. This is the time to put them into practice. And as soon as the shit blows over, you know, have business plans in place to push on and move forwards. Because at the end of the day, if you're not essentially an online trainer, it's only a short solution to make a bit of money whilst we're, you know, in this kind of shitstorm that we're currently in. So yeah, that's the only advice I have. And I think as well, like we need to, maybe I should say this or not, we shouldn't put too much pressure on ourselves to have to deliver too much at the moment as well. You know, I think this is a time to kind of we have to kind of think a little bit more objectively and just kind of take a bit of pressure off ourselves, because everyone's struggling at the moment. Let's be honest about that. So yeah, I don't really know what more I can say on that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, 100%. I think like, because we're so used to being in the gym all the time, now we're at home, we feel like we've got to be busy, we've got to be putting a lot of stuff out there, but most people are going to be slobbing it at home for the time being. I know that I've been like probably eating a little bit too much and probably relaxing a little bit more than I normally do, and I think a lot of people out there will be doing that, and we're saying like that in about 3 to 4 weeks is a time where we can start upping the stuff, where rather than, because a lot of people are really like putting their home workouts out, that'll start drying up, but a lot of people aren't going to be doing that as well. But in 3 or 4 weeks, when they put a little bit more weight on, the bored of watching Netflix and stuff like that, that's the time that we need to start pushing more stuff. Darryl, what obviously you're saying about like not doing as much online. What is the situation like, as in like coaching one-to-ones? I don't know what the government guidelines are on that at the moment. I don't know whether people can do that outdoors, set out some outdoor runs or outdoor sessions or something like that. What do you think to that?
Well, go and watch. Do you guys here follow Phil Lerney? So yeah. Phil Lerney's he's pretty as a PT and stuff. He's pretty big. He's a fairly big name, if you want to put it like that. He's getting inundated with people that are asking questions about, can you do outside boot camps? Can you do, in quarantine type situations, can we still train people? And he's like, look, don't do it. We've got to try and contain, the virus as best we can. And he's going to try and find out all the information that he can. He's putting stuff out regularly on what we can and can't do. But I think for the most part right now is, we can't really do too much. We just got to be careful. Again, I don't know what anyone else has heard. Look, I think I've spoken enough. There's a lot of people, smart people in this meeting. So let's have some other people, with their thoughts as well. I'm not sure what else to say.
Yeah, no worries. That's good advice. That's why I open that question there, because it is a little bit of a grey area. Can we train people outside? Can we not? We saw what people's reactions were to being able to be outside at the weekend, and then there's a really busy market in London. People aren't listening to the advice. So I think if we, try and contain, try and be as selfless as possible, not think, oh God, I've got to do some online, I've got to do some one-to-one training. They haven't told us that we can't do that. I think if we be quite selfless and think about the bigger picture is really important. I'm going to bring in my friend Ashley Downey, because
I'll touch on that.
Go on then.
I think look at that from a training point of view. What do we look at on a training point of view? Do we care about the one single awesome workout that we had on a micro level, or do we look on a macro level at a bigger picture? And I think this same, let's talk training talk, this same situation can be deemed at that. Do we care about that one awesome session you might have at the park and make a couple of quid for? Or do we look at the bigger picture of saying, well, the quicker we can contain this as a collective unit, then the quicker we are going to be able to coach people again and then change people's lives. Because the flip side of this is, once we do get through this shitstorm, is that you better believe everyone's going to want to train even more. Everyone's going to want to invest in their health and well-being, and everyone's going to want to build robust human beings. So things like this don't happen again. So we've just got to get through it. And I think, as Darryl and you said there, Danny, is, be aware of the current times. And I personally, I self-quarantined over 11 days ago. I haven't delivered a coaching session since the Friday before last, just as a precautionary measure. And I appreciate people's situations are a little bit different, but that was just what I did. But at this moment in time, no, I'm not going to be coaching people. I think you can still. I had a call yesterday about someone wanting to train in Hyde Park, and I just said, look, I'm just not prepared to do that at this moment in time. I think for the next 4 weeks, and I think for the next 4 weeks is let's just be real smart with things. as Reece alluded to, keep giving out the free content. You know, the Gary Vaynerchuk jab, right hook. You know, the jab's the free content at this stage. And when the time comes, and I think a lot of us can resonate with that comment, is when the time comes, let the right hook go. And that's when you can say, yeah, now you guys have had my free content. I now have a product that can actually benefit you at this time of need. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Good stuff, Dan. Talk about right hooks. Did anyone see that right hook to body that landed on Tommy in that body spar? They're folding him off. Right, I'm going to bring Ash in now because the people that I've spoke, I believe, are freelance coaches and not gym owners, whereas Ash is a gym owner. He owns his own facility, and obviously it's going to be challenging times if you do own your own facility. So I'm just wondering whether he wants to come in and give us a little bit of input.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, so anyone that doesn't know me, well, most of you won't know me, other than Danny. Yeah, so I work for the English Institute of Sport, so I work with the Great Britain Archery team, and then I also own my own gym, so I kind of have twofold situation. I actually closed my gym last week just because one of my athletes got a fever, and I decided that I didn't want to risk it for the rest of the people training in there, so I decided to close it. I decided to self-quarantine. And yeah, so obviously I lost all the income from my own clients. PT is renting the facility. I'm going to lose all of that income as well. So the gym's closed. The government out a little bit, but if I'm honest, it's not going to cover the bills at all. So it will cover some of the bills, but it realistically is still going to lose a lot from it. So that's a bit up in the air. I don't know what will happen there, whether that will stay running or not, who knows. And then from the English Institute of Sport side, where I work with the archery team, all the sites are closed now, so there's no training being done there. Luckily at the moment we're still getting paid from that point of view, so I've got a bit coming in from that side, which obviously I'm lucky. But yeah, that's all been closed down. So we're doing lots of remote stuff now, lots of video stuff like this, really, with all the athletes, setting up home training programs and stuff like that with them. With the coaches and the physio and stuff. But yeah, from a self-employed point of view, I suppose my kind of thoughts are that I'm probably going to do some online stuff, although I'm not going to go mental with it. The pricing's got to be right. I think you've got to reduce the price quite heavily and make it quite cheap, and it means you're going to earn next to nothing compared to what you normally earn. So like I charge £40 an hour for private one-to-ones. I'm going to probably end up charging £10 an hour or something in the end. You know, that's probably what I'm going to end up getting paid for any work that I'm actually doing. I'm also thinking about donating 50% of it to like food banks. I know you're talking about a lot of hate online and stuff, like, you know, people maybe get given hate because you're charging for these programs, but like you said, you still got to earn a living, and the government are not helping out self-employed people at all. So unless you're on the payee scheme from HMRC, you're not getting anything really other than whatever that basic universal credit £300 a month is or something. So you are going to have to look to try and make some money, otherwise you might be in trouble. And yeah, I think you've obviously got to look after yourself to make some money to pay the bills. But I think like Danny said, and a few others probably said as well, is you have got to think about the kind of wider impact, and you've got to think about your brand. I think Dan mentioned about your brand, you know, like long term, like after this, you don't want to come out the other side and then loads of people are like, well, that knob was charging bloody £200 a month for online bloody training or something, and you know, I'm not going to go and train with him now because he was trying to mug everyone off when this crisis was happening. I think you've got to be very careful about how you sell yourself, how you promote, and what you're charging at the moment. So I think that's quite important. You've got to remember as well, Netflix aren't going to cancel your monthly membership. They're going to still take your money, and your broadband bills are still going to come out. And, you know, like there's going to be a lot of people that are still charging you for their services. And if you're providing something online, which people can still pay for, then you're, you know, ultimately you're not doing anything differently, as long as you're not overcharging for it. So I think you should probably undercharge probably. And then, yeah, maybe like CPD is another thing I thought about. I've started downloading some more CPD material so that I can use this opportunity to learn. You know, I don't have time to do a lot of reading normally day to day. I'm either with the archers at Lilleshall, I probably work 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I literally have hardly any time to actually learn stuff. So I think this is a good opportunity for people to start learning, or read more, or do more CPD. And then another thing for me, just, I don't know, I think you have got a responsibility, like the one-to-one sessions outside in the park or whatever. Personally, don't think that's a responsible thing to do. I think like some of the others have said, you gotta sit back now and kind of self distance, or social distance, and self isolate as much as you need to, and just, I don't know, to try and let the crisis pass, I suppose, because I don't think you should still be doing that stuff. And I know a lot of people still are doing that, and I think it's you got to think about your brand afterwards, and whether you're contributing to the slow of the virus, and then, like you said, afterwards, if you want it to finish faster, well, then you got to put those things in place now. So that's kind of my thoughts. If anyone has any questions, feel free to fire them across.
Yeah, 100%, Ash. I think that's really good advice, especially on the charging point of view, is that you're giving something back, like say 50% to food banks, or I don't know, anything to do with NHS. I know that a lot of kind of big like marketing brands and everything like that, like big restaurants like Nando's and Domino's and KFC, all giving like 50% off to NHS workers. My other half is NHS worker, so I'm going to be size of a house by the end of this 4 weeks. So all the big companies doing it, that means that we can do it as well. So if we're wanting to charge, if we're wanting to get by during this kind of difficult period, if you're giving something back, make sure you are giving back as well. It would be a massive plus for you. And that, what Dan was saying as well about building your brand, that's going to do very well for your PR, and more people are going to want to train with you as well. I'm going to open up the floor to like kind of any questions. Raj has raised his hand. I don't know whether that means that he wants to come in and ask a question. If anybody else wants to ask a question, please pop it into the comment box, or raise your hand and I'll bring you in. Oh, Raj is lower. Do you want to ask a question?
Oh, sorry, can I ask?
Yeah.
Hello.
How are you doing, Raj?
No, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
So guys, I'm not a PT. I'm not a strength and conditioning coach. I'm just somebody who uses the Boxing Science subscription. But I was interested to join for multiple reasons. I run my own business, so I guess I'm impacted by all the stuff that's going on at the moment. And I guess as I was listening to you guys speak, this may be something that you've already done or considered, but I thought I'd offer a perspective. And so I guess all the stuff that you're doing around free content, if I go back to my clients who are typically corporate customers, obviously they're now having staff in their business having to work remotely. And I guess as a business owner, they've got a duty of care to make sure their staff are well looked after, that they're healthy whilst they're in that workplace, albeit they're now working from home. And I know you've talked quite a lot of you talked about pulling together content, but I don't know if many of you or any of you thought about speaking to corporate employers who have got lots of employees that are now working from home, that you could offer some services to them. And again, it doesn't have to be charge an arm and a leg, but it could be that you're saying, well, actually, we'll do some online coaching with your team, get them together for 15 minutes. They get the benefit of your expertise, but you're doing it in a collegiate way, something that's supporting that business. I guess independent of pulling together content that's going direct to the individual.
Yeah, that is really good advice. You know, a lot of the coaches on here are coaching athletes, but I think something that I wanted to say today as well is that if we are struggling for money, we've got to kind of leave our egos at the door as well, and don't think that we've got to train athletes. You know, there's going to be loads of people out there that are wanting training and doing anything that you can to kind of earn some money. I'm not saying to go and do anything illegal or something like that, but there's loads of places where you can get like casual contracts. People are wanting more staff, and if people are really struggling, for a moment, for a small period of time, to help you get by, but open yourself up to kind of getting another job or anything like that, because we had to do it when we were coming up, when we were wanting to follow our passion. I was doing jobs that I didn't want to do when I was interning at different places, and I did it for money, so I can kind of get by and live by that money whilst I'm following my passion. And this is exactly the same now. So if you can work out what's the minimum that you need, if you're not getting that minimum, try and get it no matter what. And like what Ash said as well, the government aren't really giving much out for self-employed people at the minute, but let's see whatever we can get. I think that'll people will kind of kick up a fuss about that, and hopefully we can get a little bit more. Talking about that corporate stuff, I know that Reece actually did something for health and wellbeing in Leeds. Reece, do you want to come in on that with any suggestions about how to train people in that setting?
Yeah, I think obviously, like you said, it's completely different to the athletes. But again, I think it's a really good idea, and definitely something to follow up in that setting. A lot of them sort of working on the mobility side of things is probably a way to go. Now, a lot of people are going to be desk all day, probably not getting in as many steps. So mobility could be one area to target. And I think given the current sort of situation, working a lot on the mental side of things is going to help massively. It's really easy to kind of get down and get in a slump of negativity. So try and help them some way, sort of keeping sharp in the mind, keeping positive is going to have quite a lot of room there for improvement as well. But I think like currently in the situation, I just think like obviously it's a real stressful situation, but if you stick to your principles, stick to your morals, and just make the right decisions as an individual, I think we'll all be okay. It's an easy situation to start doing things that you wouldn't necessarily normally do and stuff like that. So I think if we can stick to sort of just being good people, for one, helping people in positions worse off than us, then I think we'll all be all right.
Excellent, good advice. We've got around about, I don't know how many minutes left we've got. I'm not sure. Maybe a few minutes left. I know that Dan wanted to share some workout tips. Dan, what can we do to get us in good a shape as you, mate? Drink loads of
No, I won't. Well, no. Stop eating 50% KFC, bud. But anyway, I think Reece is completely right. The physical governs the mental for me. So I think keeping people physically active is a major key at this moment in time, especially with the reduction in obvious expenditure through, the NEAT principle, no exercise, activity, thermogenesis. Let's just get people moving. All right. Do we need to then make a nutritional intervention and be smart because of the lack of expenditure? Yeah, likely we need to educate our clients on that as well. And I really like Raj's point there of, attacking corporate environments. And we've got to remember why we got into this. Okay. We do this to add value to whoever wants to kind of listen, if you like, and you're right, we need to leave the ego at home. If someone's out there and we can hit the masses in a corporate environment and actually identify some fundamental big rocks around training, sleep, nutrition, hydration, movement, mobility, whatever it may be, then that's going to really carry weight and add value at this moment in time. And I think that's a good way of thinking outside the box there, Raj. You're right, because we're so, and I'm guilty of it, I'll hold my hands up, putting content out there on social media to help individuals, to add value. That's why I do it, but to actually have an end kind of game there of, okay, well, yeah, let's get involved with a corporate environment and help these people. People, and that's, I think that's really smart, and how we go about that. I just hope corporate environments would want to listen at this moment in time, to look after their employees. In regards to workout tips, sorry, look, I'm preaching to the choir here. I don't even know if I want to start talking about workout
slipping
tips,
well here, huh?
Just get people moving through,
Using the old
Really? Haven't?
Hold on. Muted. Go on.
Oh, mate. probably should mute me, mate, to be fair. But yeah, look, just get people moving, maybe start the day with like a 5 to 10 minutes, some breath work, some movement prep, just to really get them going. And then also, I've done a couple of posts on this, is that we need to provide a sufficient enough stressor to actually enable these individuals to improve. And I know a lot of us work in athletic population. So doing jumping jacks in the living room, it's not really going to cut it at this stage, okay? And I think Reece alluded to it earlier. I know I've done a couple of posts on this, is, there's other variables we can manipulate when we don't have load there. I appreciate we don't have the luxury of a squat rack in our living room, or at least I don't anyway. I've just got a couple of dumbbells, but, if we go with 5-second eccentrics, we can pause in the bottom position. There's a number of things we can do, and then obviously exercise selection to actually provide a sufficient stressor. Then, that would be smart as well. I think one thing we do now have is more time, so we can educate people a lot more. So the clients that we do have, let's not forget about them. They need us more than ever. So it might be that, we jump on calls like we've got going on here. We don't have to do these individually with everyone. We might get 5-10 people on a call and have a chat, and let's educate them, and let's kind of keep them on track, because like I said, I think they need us now more than ever,
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a good way to finish, rather than it being totally cut off. So I do want to finish things there. Thanks for everyone for joining in. Some great contributions there as well. I do want to do this again, whether we do it on a weekly basis or in a couple of weeks, just see how the situation changes, see what things that people are doing, and sharing kind of our progress of what we're doing at home and everything like that. I think that'll be a good idea. So if you'd like